Well, good day, everyone. This is another one of our fireside chats with an existing supplier to team, and it's great to welcome back Alex Bennison, who's developed another product really from his days of old when you were a rec to rec, which it can be seen as a bit of a swear word in team, but an absolute necessity now for companies that are perhaps looking to grow. Finding experienced talent is really tough. But you've developed, I think, this product, which would be really exciting for not only growing companies or growing recruitment companies, but potentially some of our service providers who want to push their products and services further out to the recruitment market. Tell me where this came from. Tell us a bit more about this, Alex.
Yeah, sure. So I guess, yeah, just as you mentioned, going back to my days of doing rec to rec, it was almost a case that you can do a search on LinkedIn, but sometimes people's locations aren't always the legit locations that they actually work in, right? Yeah. So you might have a company in Birmingham saying that they work London, or they might work the US market, but from the UK, and then suddenly it all kind of mixes things up. So what I used to do as a rec to rec, every single company I came across, I would, at the time, use a VA in India to be able to market and extract all the information that I wanted. And just having a big database or spreadsheet of data is pointless. So what I would do is basically map all that data onto a kind of Google Maps type spreadsheet that I could actually interact with and filter down and search and so on. And it was amazing for me as a rec to rec. It helped me make so many placements, but at the time I kind of kept it a secret because it was my own little kind of like secret weapon, if you like. And in launching the Scoop, I kind of had an invested interest in knowing who all of the recruitment companies in the UK were, and eventually globally. And then it just kind of like came back to mind, really. And I thought, well, actually, now I don't need to keep it confidential. I feel like a lot of industries, supply network, internal recruiters, rec to recs for obvious reasons, would probably find a benefit in having something like this.
Yeah.
So yes, essentially a global map, or what will eventually be a global map of all the recruitment agencies, what they specialize in, where they're based, and allow people to interact and filter it all down.
Fabulous. Well, I'll be honest, say I'm using it now. I'm finding it really useful to target a region or specific sectors. It's been really good for focusing in on those. So I'm convinced. Perhaps you can show us a little bit. I think you're co-host.
Yeah,
so
yeah, sure. Let me just
take us through.
Jump on a screen share, right? So obviously, kind of keep in mind, this is like the MVP. So we're already kind of rebuilding the platform to add in sort of additional features, and essentially what you can kind of see, like you always hear, like you can never get away from recruiters. And when you actually sort of see it visually, how many recruitment businesses are just in the UK alone, like it kind of gives you a good idea why, right? So if I was to kind of zoom into central London, you can kind of see how densely populated there is with recruitment businesses. Now on the homepage of the map, whilst the pins of the companies are all on there, you just can't see the actual information until you have access to the map. So once someone has access, they can click into the map, and what you can basically see is that you can kind of go through. Now obviously I could jump to a specific location. So let's say if I wanted to say like Sydney, Australia, for example, I could just jump to Sydney. I could go to Manchester, wherever it may be, and it'll just take me straight there. But really the kind of core value is in being able to filter these searches down. So if I was to want to target companies that hire within the technology, or let's say DevOps space, what you can see is that you've got the filters, and it's kind of like a Boolean string, right? So you've got and you can add as many filters to that search and narrow things down. But if I wanted to say, like, let's say specialities within DevOps, it's quite niche, but let's say within 5 miles of Manchester, I could basically do that search, and it will then just get rid of all of the companies that don't specialize in DevOps, and I can then just click into the companies and quickly access all their information. So it would show me the company, where they're based. I can quickly jump into their website, quickly jump into their company LinkedIn profile, and therefore their employees. I can see the description of how they would describe their business, all the specialisms they recruit within, their headcount, their LinkedIn follower count, and the date that they're incorporated. So if I wanted to, I could also go on and say, and show me people who have a staff headcount of greater than or less than, let's say, like 40 businesses, 40 heads, for example, and just research that. So yeah, I guess the kind of main value from, obviously, from an internal recruiter is you might have companies that are on your doorstep that you might not even know of. You know, if we look at Manchester as an example, you know, someone could say that they work in Manchester when actually they're based down in like Wilmslow.
Yeah.
And you know, you wouldn't ever really know just because of their location. You'd end up targeting the wrong type of businesses. From a supplier perspective, you might go after specific companies that may have less than a certain headcount or a certain amount of followers on LinkedIn if you're like a marketing agency or something. But the way we're going to kind of start building out is by adding in additional information. So who uses Bullhorn or Vincere or Loxo or has specific website providers or whatever it may be. So, I mean, ultimately, inside of it is relatively straightforward. It's all about the data cleansing, the data enrichment, and giving people the ability to basically access that quickly and easily and discover it.
That looks great. And how are you taking this to market? What's the sort of commercial?
So there's I mean, ultimately to kind of access the map on its own, if that's all you wanted, then it's basically a pretty cheap and cheerful. It's $4.99 for the 12 months access, and that's for a site license. So anyone in the same business can basically just log into that license basically for that cost. It's not per user. But then there's obviously 3 target customers. There's rec direct for obvious reasons, internal recruiters and suppliers. On the supplier side of things, they may want the actual data to upload into their CRM system. And at the moment, whilst we don't allow someone to just export all of this data from the map, if there was a specific targeted list of companies, then basically we could go out and actually sell the data on its own. So you could say, okay, just show me companies in Manchester that have less than 50 heads, and we could do it on that basis.
And they might want, they might want to target driving agencies or, you know, things like that. Healthcare might be a really good specialism for some people. That'd be cool.
We've had payroll agencies that have come to us and said, like, we just want to target temp agencies. Ultimately, the tool is based on the ability to gather and enrich data, right? So one of the payroll providers came to us and said, can you find out exactly who runs a temp agency, whether or not they have any charges registered, and who payrolls that company, and we can kind of find out that all the information as well. So
good.
Just depends on what the company needs.
Well, look, I'll record this and transfer it to our hub. I'll drop a line to our lovely service providers. They may be very interested in this. This could significantly expand their reach in the UK. And as you build your network beyond the UK as well, is this you're aiming this to be a global?
I mean, we had 2 clients from Australia actually reach out yesterday and signed up to the platform. So we're just going to be sort of eventually growing it out as partly based on demand, right? So if we have a company in New York that wants to target companies in New York, we'll just focus on that area, and we can do it pretty quickly in terms of getting the data. It's then just enhancing it and extracting it. Really
good stuff. Well, I'm enjoying it. It's working for us. Thank you, Alex. Good to see you again. I'll see you soon on a Zoom.
Let me know if anyone's got any questions, but reach out. All right, awesome. Cheers. Thanks ever so much. Cheers, Simon.